Getting set up here, guys. Let's see if I still know how to use YouTube live streaming. Let's go. No, not doing that. Okay, let's do this. Nope, won't do that either. Okay, you suck. Hey, you here, Mike? I thought you couldn't be here, bud. Good to see you. Ah, Mozilla issues. There we go. All right. Let's see what's going on in these markets. I can't say, there we go. Can't say I really like what I'm seeing all around. Um, Obviously, Friday was just a atrocious day for the markets. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Ian? Yeah, glad you can make it, Mike. I think so. Next week we'll probably I have a soccer tournament next Saturday, and then I think only a couple more weeks. And yeah, only a couple more weeks probably for like doing a Sunday show like this. Not normal, not normal at all. What's up, Ian? So, all right, let's see what's going on. So BTC, just let's zoom out here. Let's go big picture. Let's go daily. Maybe even remove some trend lines here. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff not needed. Logs not on. Got to get that on. Those are good little points to keep on. We have that, which isn't very helpful, but it's fine. 73, I think, is important still, so we'll leave that. That is 64, 451. Not super important, but that was a little double bottom base that worked out. This measured move already happened, so we'll get rid of that. And I think a lot of this is just noise at this stage. I'll keep the Wyckoff top, why not? I don't know if we really need this stuff because the Wyckoff top is surrounding all of this. Go away. Go away. All right. So there we go. A little bit of cleaned up chart. Oop, another little line right there. What else am I missing? What else am I missing? I got a bunch of little lines right here. Probably some on the 2 hour too that are popping up here. There we go. All right, so much more clean chart, but we still have the important lines on here. Still fighting the good fight here with this top upward sloping trend line. Although it looks like it's going to start going sideways, it looks like it's probably already on the 2 hour, barely started doing that. I've been fighting it the past couple of days. Here is Friday. There is the, no, it's Wednesday. That's the tariff announcement. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Market opened here. Stock market opened here, took a huge crap, and crypto really hasn't budged. We do have futures that are going to open, I think, in like 4, 5, 6 hours. I don't know exactly, but we'll see where we end up. Um, I don't think there's been any tariff news. Vietnam urges U.S. to delay imposing tariffs on it. Major U.S. stocks see biggest losses. Navarre downplays sell-off. Reciprocal tariffs aren't quite what they seem. More than 50 countries in contact. Here, maybe this will give us some actual news that doesn't suck. Obviously, this is the most important thing. And I know it's crypto, but I mean, stocks, you can't get away from them. It is the backdrop to everything that's happened. I think it's important to keep in touch with it. Letting 10% base tariffs will stay in place for days and weeks. Letting defense tariffs on island populated by penguins. That is hilarious. I don't know if you guys watch a Daily Show at all, but did a whole thing about the island populated by penguins that's getting tariffs. Penguins need tariffs. That's I, sometimes I think Trump does things just I don't know. I don't know. Steeper reciprocal tariffs are coming, says Lutnick. And by reciprocal, that's what the administration is calling them, reciprocal tariffs. Russia tariffs not appropriate during Ukraine war negotiations. Oh, that's why they didn't get. I heard they didn't get tariffs. I guess that kind of makes sense. Rising. So nothing, no news changes, just articles really. Rise in prices, not heavy burden on consumers, says U.S. official. I thought he got the reason Trump got elected was due to inflation. Let's be clear on that. That's the only reason he got elected. U.S. Treasury Secretary, no reason to expect a recession. Of course they're going to say that. So it looks like, yeah, there's no change. Just the Penguins have to learn um, English and open a bank account to pay the tariffs, which they don't pay anyways. But you get my point. It was a funny joke. But yeah, so BTC, I do think it's crazy how it stayed up. I will say this though, going back to COVID, I mentioned this in the newsletter. Going back to COVID, which was Jesus a long time ago now, right here. The market looked generally okay until they didn't, right? Like it stayed up. Everybody knew COVID was here as of like February, and then March came around and everything kind of broke open. The markets broke open and crypto broke open, which we thought was strange. And to me, the that was the thing we needed on the charts to show that, institutions were involved in crypto. But then the Federal Reserve changed its stance. I won't get too deep into that. And they allowed crypto to be counted as assets to the big banks. And then everything flattened right back out. So this time around, I don't think they get a lot of bang for their buck raising liquidity by selling crypto is what I'm trying to say. And if it happens, it'll happen quickly, probably similar to this. I don't know exactly. We obviously can't know for sure how it's going to transpire, but I think that's important to keep in mind. We do have one example, and that's the only one I can think of. There may be others about how things may react if banks get into a crunch. If the market sell off continues in stocks, it will eventually spill over. But just the fact that crypto's held up is good. Obviously, there's no buying pressure here. Volume aggregation tool, pretty random. You got sellers, buyers. Really not a lot going on here. But overall, there are some cracks in the crypto market. I'll start off with some of the USD pairs that I mentioned. One was EOS. Yeah, at the same time. Well, that's what I was talking about, Mike, is the reason they sold off crypto is because they had to raise liquidity for Federal Reserve liquidity requirements. This time around, I think they are allowing all of the same assets that they lifted as last time, which is what stopped the sell-off from happening. So the sell-off occurred, the Fed lifted restrictions on qualifying assets because there used to be restrictions on what the Fed would qualify as assets and everything else they had to have in cash. So they broadened that to include anything you have, and then the big banks stopped the big selling. EOS, real quick. We talked about EOS breaking over here. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a bid. I'm not sure how that's going to plan out, but if you shorted this, just make sure you know where you're stopping. And then KCS was the one that is a bit of a chink in the armor of crypto. This is KuCoin's native token. Generally, when the exchange tokens do good, the market does good, and this is the opposite of good. Got about a week now of dropping action after 11 kind of gave way, and it's just been, slowly moving down. But today, cracking a little bit wider at 6.2%. You can look at some other tokens, Leo, which is Bitfinex's native token, also cracking the armor with a rising trend line break. So we're starting to see some chinks in the armor overall in crypto. Um, Although it's not exacerbated yet, but it could get there and it could get there quickly. We saw what the stock market did. And once futures open today, we'll kind of know how they may open. But I think it is important to keep all of this context in mind. Sometimes, if you've been paying attention, you know that these exchange tokens do kind of show you what traders, or, if they're moving into exchanges to trade, then they'll buy these tokens. If they're moving out, then they'll sell these tokens. If they're moving out, which is kind of what it looks like with KCS and Leo dropping. All right, let's go down through the top 20 here. Ethereum, a little bit weaker, unable to hold this horizontal. Not tremendous amount of volume, but also not a good look overall. Buying and selling in the dirt, waiting for the next shoe to drop. And Ethereum has just been a big old hunk of trash now going on a year. Nice one rally here. No follow through past prior highs. And take bigger picture here on ETH, and it's not painting a great picture. Let's go to the weekly for a short time. Probably don't even need all those lines. Looks like a big cup and handle never came to fruition. Undercutting the handle, not a good sign. Now you're in no man. This is no man's land. That's what it is. It's not major chart patterns. So see, chart patterns show structure. Chart patterns show psychology, active group psychology. When you start breaking group psychology, you move into randomness, and that's exactly what ETH has done here. Pretty much underneath this 2100 level, you're very random, and you can make trades and this and that, but it's going to be harder to have larger swing moves. And but right now, bias I think is to the downside given all the constraints on the market right now. All right, Solana down 4.6% right now. Small H pattern forming. Really unable to make a move up a week or two ago here. RSI trendline break didn't really lead to much, and now we rolled right back over again. If Solana's the leading coin, which it kind of has been now for a few years, it's not leading in a good way. You're not seeing any positive constructive action here. BNB, another exchange token, breaking down from an ascending triangle, which did have a shot to be bullish, but not much of one. XRP leading all the way up after the Trump election win here. Really no follow through, a little bit right there, but not a lot. You see volume just isn't quite the same. Um, Plenty of pocket pivots because not a lot of selling in this base, which is fine, but no follow through. And you can juxtapose as to why it doesn't really matter. XRP is a news driven token. Pretty much only responds to news. Dogecoin, again, floundering randomness. This is what the whole market looks like right here. I can go through all these other tokens. In a nutshell, this is on average 80, 85, 90% of tokens right now. You've done some things in the past, but lately you're down. You're doing some kind of random H pattern, bear flag, whatever you want to call it, inverted cup and handle. And you can see time and time again, here's kind of an inverted cup and handle, almost, not really, just all over the place. Tron's one of the exceptions to that, one of the, in that 10-15% doing its own thing. Question is, will you get a bid out of this? I don't know. It just seems a little strange to me. Shiba and kind of down weird H pattern. Ton, also another weird one. I don't think Toncoin is an exchange. I think it's just some garbage layer one. Garbage layer one. AVAX lower, same pattern. Really didn't come close to these highs. Got okay close, but not close. Sui. Sui's been holding up. It looks like it may want to finally give it up. We were wondering when this one's going to break, and looks like the next leg has started. You can probably argue, and we weren't really super on top of it. That's a consolidation. You can argue this is a consolidation too. So maybe you'll get a leg lower here, and then another broader consolidation, and then a further drop. Here we have last time. There's a consolidation, a descending triangle. It's kind of choppy, a follow breakdown, kind of a not really capitulation, but a mini capitulation candle right there. Exhaustion, extreme RSI reading, and then a big V bounce back. I'm not sure we'll get there, but I think Sui does have more downside to come, as evidenced by it being 6% today. That may be our leader to the downside. I think it is. Bitcoin Cash, inverted kind of cup and handle, maybe. Like I said, there's these different looks here, but none of them are really great. Here you have a bunch of random. Here's kind of a cup and handle that doesn't work out. Inverted cup and handle doesn't work out. You go sideways, then you break a trend line, you go up. We're still over here. Very, very random action. I just don't think there's anything on the plate at the moment, except for some of these big movers to the downside. I think Sui probably will be a good mover. Hasn't done a lot lately. If that starts to crack, there's probably a lot of people waiting to sell. Bitcoin Cash, Chainlink, H pattern there. Pepe forming an H pattern there. DOT, inverted cup and handle here. Starts to break that 367. It's wide open. Nothing under here for support. You got to go way back. Way, way back. Or it doesn't make any damn sense. 3.6. DOT has been just an absolute dumpster fire of a token. I mean, from 4.4 to 9.5 in a bull run is horrible. If this thing gives it up, it's just dead probably. Good one to short. Near protocol under recent lows already. Underneath all these, Still has the H pattern. We talked about Leo undercutting rising trend line support right there. Litecoin not looking good. Broke down from the triangle. That was your entry. Boom. And if you wanted to short now, your stop is above yesterday's high, in my opinion. It's probably still going to be relatively wide. I like these daily charts. I don't do much on these 2 hours. 8.5%, 8.25% over yesterday's high. Yeah, so that's the most you could do. Um, you could try to shoehorn it in with this red candle here if you wanted to have a little less risk. But this was your entry on. If you wanted to short Litecoin, you probably wanted to short it weeks ago, and that was a great entry. APT rising trend line entry on the short, extended now, looking to break recent support. Meta 470, I'm assuming you're talking about the stock there, Steve. We'll take a look at stocks in a little bit. We can't get around it. I don't know the price of Meta. Uniswap Hing over, a bunch of garbage here. OM. OM holding strong. This is another one similar to Sui that I think is just going to get beaten to death just because really hasn't been a lot of selling pressure in this. There's going to be people that are holding it. Now, if we do get a big crack wide open in crypto, similar to what we have with stocks, the ones that hold up are the ones that you're going to try to pay attention to during the next cycle, but you still have to go through the drop. So how do you approach that? Well, generally you either short it or do nothing. You know what I mean? Hey, what's up, Aram? Diamond pattern on BTC here? Well, diamonds are typically symmetrical. If you look at a diamond pattern and its definition, they are symmetrical. I've rarely seen a diamond pattern. I think I've drawn one that was right, and I don't even think that thing worked out. Um, yeah, there's really nothing diamond bigger. This? I mean, you go too big, it's no longer a pattern. Price patterns do have kind of a expiration date. I know they're fractal in their nature, but it's not really. You talking, well, I mean, I would argue this is probably a better diamond, this top up here with the Wyckoff, even though it's not even a diamond. What are you done? Is it off one of my trend lines here, Steve? I mean, I'm trying to find it. I mean, if you could have called anything a diamond, that probably could have been some kind of a diamond. Is that even the line that I drew? Seems such a weird diamond. But this could be constitute as some type of a. I don't see it. If you're in Slack, you can post a chart in Slack. Bigger, huh? Yeah, I don't know about bigger. You want to give me like some dates and some prices maybe? I don't see a diamond. Diamonds are usually pretty concise. Diamonds are typically very symmetrical. Diamond bottom, diamond top. So they're usually pretty symmetrical. I'm just trying to speed read here. Looks like a diamond, usually one tilted to the side. Yeah, so fairly symmetrical. I mean, nothing's gonna be perfect. Price trend, half staff, price velocity, price trend, throwbacks and pullbacks. See, like that's a decent diamond. Oh, volume trough. He's looking for a volume trough indicating almost like an inverted head and shoulders pattern. Are you thinking diamond bottom or diamond top, Steve? Because that'll probably phrase it. So, I mean, I guess if you look in here, yeah, you do have kind of a trough. I mean, I guess we could pop up. I guess maybe I've already encapsulated two of these ends. I don't know where you would draw this. I'm trying to pick up what you're putting down, Steve. But I don't know. So, okay, let's talk. That brings up an interesting thought to me. When we talk about chart patterns, I'm on Reddit a lot. Way too much for it to be healthy for a normal human being. And one of my comments I made to someone a few days ago was about trading and trying to get there. I thought it was pretty good. It was regarding man, I post a lot. It was after that one. Lighting, trading, building, science, Crestron, advice. Here we go, right here. So this guy's talking about if rarely encounter anything as frustrating and psychologically confusing and disorienting and emotionally charged as trading. What a good sentence. Let's just appreciate that sentence for a moment. It's really, really good. Um, it's so hard to find a strategy that works with it, and I'm somehow managing to fail so reliably. It seems a statistical marvel. And so this is what I've posted this on here a couple times before. So he's suffering what all traders suffer from. Not knowing that it's okay not to trade. It's imperative that you know when your strategy works and under what conditions. This goes for chart patterns. Okay, this goes for chart patterns. You can't just take context away from a market and call it diamond bottom. You know what I mean? Now, if if this turns into a diamond bottom, and you didn't say if it's a bottom or a top there, Steve, but you can't say this is a diamond bottom without the backdrop context, I think. So if things change, if the tariffs kind of um, get reduced or something like that, and then the market starts to rally, that context changes, and maybe you do run into something, but you don't blindly buy a breakout, in my opinion. This context is very important. It's important that you only trade when your environment exists. So I'm not going to be trading a really good diamond bottom if the market is just garbage. But I think, I don't know if this is a great analogy, but if a falcon hunted every hour of the day, they would dive right into a mountain at night. If you're flying at night, wait for day. Um, I didn't see his post. Yeah. So, anywho, it just reminded me of that a little bit. All right, let's dive down to a little bit of stocks right there. Unless you guys have any crypto questions. We can go over the SPY 5-year COVID trend line at 468. Stocks, I think, are obviously let's see what our stats are here today. I got a few people here. Thanks for showing up. Hit the like button if you could, please. Maybe YouTube will do something with it. This is a live preview of my Power Hour, um, where we basically go through the newsletter that I put out pretty much oh, 6 days a week, some weeks 7 lately. Let's go to stocks. And again, futures are going to open. When do the futures open? So 5 p.m. Central Time. That's going to be about 5.5 hours from now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, what on earth is Trump doing? No one, no one fully knows. So let's keep in. Okay, I hope I don't lose anybody with this. If you have differing opinions, please, let's discuss it. Um, Trump is a simpleton. He has simple thoughts. Um, and he thinks that doing tariffs will get him his end goal, whatever that is. And if you listen to his words, you don't actually know what they are, which is a little bit frustrating. He wants border security, but he wants manufacturing, but he wants this, but he wants that. He thinks these tariffs are a cure-all for all these different things he can get from other nations. He's got some points in that, yeah, you know what, maybe Germany should, help us pay for our military bases in Germany. Okay, maybe that's something. Maybe Canada should lessen tariffs on stuff we do. Maybe. I say maybe because he can't lay out a firm case for anything necessarily. The only case he's laid out I don't mind reciprocal tariffs, but from what I understand, they're not actually reciprocal tariffs. You could make the lowering interest rate argument, Steve. That is an argument, but he doesn't. I'm going with the simpleton. He doesn't think that deeply. Um, is he going to crash the economy for lower interest rates? I don't. I don't know. I don't think it doesn't make sense to me. Just lower interest rates. Why wouldn't he say it? Like, why wouldn't he say, hey, the Fed's, I'm going to do these tariffs. The economy's going to crash until the Fed lowers interest rates. Obviously, that's a loser politically, but he's Trump. He doesn't lose at anything politically. So he can say what the hell he wants to. So he's either a super genius playing 10 levels ahead, confusing everybody, doing what he knows is the best for the US, or he's a simpleton throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. Yeah, I think you have to vote with the latter. I think you have to vote with the latter. Um, Yeah, I just think that's what it is. You look at his first term in office and it doesn't yell genius 10 steps ahead. It leans more towards simpleton in reality. Now, he's not stupid. I say simpleton, but he's not stupid. Okay? I do want to say that. I don't think he's an idiot. He took all, for whatever reason, I guess Obama didn't, because Obama was the president before Trump. I don't think Obama didn't populate the courts with judges, which seemed very weird to me. Or maybe it was because I guess it was, and then Trump did it all with conservative judges, which that's a smart move, right? So he's not stupid, but he's not like 10 levels ahead either. I don't see the clear cut win with the tariffs because, so Mike mentions, um, it looks like an alternative reality. Trump won because of inflation. He lost in 2020 because he's crazy. Hey, what's up, Phil? He lost in 2020 because he's nuts. Okay, so 2016 he won because he's different and he's kooky. He lost in 2020 because he's crazy, and he won in 2024 because of inflation. And I guess they gave up on the crazy part because they thought Kamala would do more inflationary things, and that trumps, no pun intended, whatever Trump was going to do. Whether that's it's so weird. It's such a convoluted thing. You just have to deal with today and tomorrow. 80K last week, very nice. What are you shorting there, Steve? What was your vehicle used to do that? That's very good. So I don't know. I don't know what the end result is. He's gonna get some concessions. He's probably gonna roll back the tariffs, is my estimation, because he's using it as a bargaining tool. Futures? You doing futures? So yeah, it's interesting. I'll just say that it's interesting. I mean, I don't think Trump wants to. Oh, spy options. No shit. Do you have a strategy that you've been using or something? I've been interested in some. I I'm not a big futures or a big index trader. I'm typically big on breakout stocks, and that's where I've made my money on breakout stocks. Um, oh, see, yeah, you were smart. I had thoughts like that, but I never really put them to fruition. Do you still have them? Do you still think, did you bank that 80K or did you hold it over the weekend? Or are you going to lean back in on Monday if it still is garbage? You can't trade those options on after hours, right? Like you can futures. The options are normal market hours. Or do they trade like the futures after hours? That'd be pretty cool if they did that. So, yeah, Trump getting elected is an alternate reality. Um, it does seem like an alternate reality. Look, he's got some good stances on some things. The U.S. is at a precipice. We talked last week about Ray Dalio and all that stuff. So from 7K, you made 80K. Fuck yeah, dude. Good job. Um, we did talk about that, about the Ray Dalio and the U.S. being on the precipice. I didn't really have a chance to look more into that. Um, and I think Trump's got an opportunity with all of his stuff he's doing to maybe make a dent in that, popular or not. I mean, if There's going to have to be some concessions. I think there's a smart way to do it. I don't know if he'll do it the smart way. Again, the simpleton mind, not really taking actual people into consideration, just trying to get the overall job done, which has its benefits, but also some major drawbacks. So, I don't know bigger picture, but let's look at these indexes. SQD USD? What's that? Squid? I'm not familiar with this. Let's take a look. Oh, not too bad. Yeah, not too bad. I don't know what no volume. It's got to have volume. Yeah, I don't know, Aram. I got no idea. It's a weird dynamic. It's a very strange dynamic. This is interesting, this sub squid. Yeah, I mean, it's not really, equivalent to the graph. Interesting. I mean, I would go by market cap and stuff like that. Um, I'd go by market cap and probably compare it to other things. If it's similar to, wait, okay, the graph. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the wrong thing. I'm thinking of the wrong thing. But yeah, I mean, this looks fine in reality. This looks pretty good. Nice move up there. I don't know why we're not getting volume here, but it's pretty good. Yeah, I'm not sure what's up with the EOS. You just got to go with the trends on it. We looked at it already, actually. We could take a look at it again. Yeah, good volume right there. Nice bull flag setup, and it looks like it's having an early breakout right now. So I think that's a potential thing going right there. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, if you want to go with it, stops under the day's low. But in this environment, I don't know. I don't do a lot. I'm really, really risk averse. And in these environments, I just don't do shit. Okay, so SPY is an argument we ignore the stock market and trade the BTC chart for what it is. Yeah, I think there is an argument for that. I think you have to be aware. But yeah, if BTC starts tanking, it starts tanking. If it rallies, it rallies. So yeah, you do take it for what it is, but you do understand the context. But you do understand the context. It's like any trading environment. It's just a really choppy environment. There's three types of market, right? Bull, choppy, and bear. And right now it's choppy, not really in a bull market, choppy, leaning into a bear market. Starts cracking that trend line on volume, and it's done. So, okay, so one thing about, look at the 480. I'll draw a trend line here at 480. Close enough. Oh, it goes, oh, back to that peak. I had this. Um, I forget how I got to this prior high over here, but I did notice there was, that could be a potential pivot point on the 480, yeah. So one thing, so obviously Steve's does pretty good at options trading on these indexes. I got to look into that. I kind of figured we would have a big move, but I didn't really I really haven't traded anything to the downside. Um, Regardless of that, if we do find some support, these three times ETFs for you guys trading a little bit longer term, I do want to point that out. They're going to be phenomenal. Look at Soxel. Um, Soxel, go to the weekly just because there's so much stuff here, and we'll circle back to the SPY. If you look at Soxel, it's always been really, really volatile. So if you're out of this thing on this way down, in which case, it's already down 87%, looks like freaking BTC on the way up. It's like 700% to highs. That takes you a couple of years, if you're not into options trading, if you're into more longer term, just buying stocks, just buy the Soxel for crying out loud. I mean, it'll eventually get back up there. The TQs aren't going to be as good as the Soxel. It's not as volatile. Even that's 121%. There's some three times ETF options in these extreme down markets that, if you're not really, really active, I think are just the most amazing tools you can possibly use. And I mean, Soxel's one of them. But I mean, let's say even this goes down further, and we'll talk about volume in a minute. But let's say this continues to go down. Maybe it bounces. So it's already bypassed this high. Maybe it gets down to this high. You got 2,000%. It's going to get to a point where it's going to be insane just not to buy this thing. Um, that being said, I do want to point out NVIDIA is a large component of the Soxel, and it does have a head and shoulders pattern forming on it at the moment. Shoulder, head, maybe we'll get that reciprocal bounce, form another shoulder. Uh, if this whole tariff situation doesn't, if the macro economy, tariffs aside, let's say the tariffs kind of flat line out. I have a feeling Trump's not going to take off all the tariffs. So maybe we're going to be in for kind of like sideways stagflation type of situation, which is not ideal for traders or long-term holders in reality. But if that happens, we get a head and shoulders on Nvidia. We get a break down. You can take the head and shoulders, kind of juxtapose to a point, right? I don't think you can say, hey, in 2028 we're going to get a bull run, but you move down, maybe we undercut that a little bit, right? Then we come back, and then you could end up with a situation where you go down like this, and then where's the Soxel? Maybe Nvidia cuts here at that level, right? Just pick a level, but then where's something like the Soxel going to get to if Nvidia now at 95 gets down to maybe 35? If we get a recession, regardless of what happens with tariffs, we get a recession. There's some tariffs still on this. If this thing drags on, you end up in another 2022 situation. This run here on Nvidia is 1,200%. You get the Soxel run here 1,000%. Even for non-aggressive trading strategies, that is phenomenal. That's a 10x in 2 years, right? That's a 10x in 2 years. I mean, you do that. If we get volatile enough here, if you trade these swings, you know what I mean? You 10x your account twice. Come on, man. Come on. You got 10 grand, you 10x it to 100 grand, you 10x it to a million. Come on. Come on. You don't have to be a super trading genius. All you gotta do is half-ass time this shit, and you're good to go. If you're buying all in Soxel right now, um, I don't think it's super wise, but who knows? So okay, so this gets to playing devil's advocate. Steve mentioned, he looks for a bounce next week maybe, and then a bounce a little further down at this 480 level off of this technical, right? You look for that bounce. I mean, come on, Steve, what are these options going to be for? I don't know if you can buy a, let's see if you can buy options. If this has SPY options, it should. Oh, it's an ETF, that's why. So let's say you go out as far as you can go. Melt up on bad news. We're so heavily shorted, squeeze on any pop. Yeah. Oh, you know what? That reminds me, Steve. You guys are gonna get a treat here right now. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me in the ass, but hang out for a minute. That is not one of these weird props. So January 27, December 27. So go out to December 27 for the SPY. Usually going out this far is kind of suicide. But what's the high up here? I don't even know. I really don't know. 600. 600. I mean, maybe there's a, so 600, 500 should be 100. It's not a good gain. All right, never mind that. Not good to buy long-term dated options on the SPY then, I guess, huh, Steve? So anyway, you get down here. I think the 3 times ETFs are the best bets because you get, 10x return even over multiple years is good. You're super outperforming the markets. I mean, just beyond recognition. And then you don't have a holding time horizon like you do with options. I think that's important. I think that's important. Okay, I want to show you that maybe this last thing. Um, so you guys know I'm a big William O'Neill fan. Gil Morales, he has a service called the Owl Trader. It's the only thing I subscribe to. He posted this yesterday. Um, I don't know, probably shouldn't be showing this, but this guy is really good. He's traded with William O'Neill during the 2000, and he posted this whole thing right here. And he basically mentioned we've already undercut and rally points, so we could rally. And then he goes on to show some charts. NASDAQ down, obviously. He goes to show on some charts from way back in the day, from 2000. From 2000, he talked about a big neck snapping V bottom. These 3-day rallies, which is kind of what you're talking about. You say float up. Some of these bounce. You get in some big bear markets. If Trump's not giving up and these tariffs stay on for weeks and months and actually go into, you know, circulating through the economy, it's going to be bad. I don't give a shit what Trump says. It's going to be fucking bad. And then you're left with a 2000 situation, 2008 situation, very, very possibly. And so he's showing back here in 2000, you got prior lows, you snap back, you undercut lows, and then eventually this goes on for further problems, right? He talks about, William O'Neill was trading Corning, but he mentioned that as an aside, at the time Bill O'Neill was trying to play fiber optic maker GLW, Corning Glassworks, on a follow through to the internet bubble as an internet build out theme name. While it trended higher in very choppy fashion after breaking out on June 1st, the same as the follow through day. So right here, that's his buy point from a double bottom base. That's his buy point. But he wouldn't let, because he felt the market environment was still fraught with danger, Bill would not allow any of his internal portfolio managers, including yours truly, to buy the stock. He hogged it all for himself. I'm not sure if that's a joke or he says hogged is an actual slam on Bill. But the point is that the master himself, Bill O'Neill, said this environment so garbage that he wouldn't even let his portfolio managers, who he trusted with millions and millions of dollars of trading, he wouldn't let them trade in this environment. But he does go on to analyze, the chart. It was a bit of a bucking bronco. Bill had his hands full with the stock, so even Bill had a hard time dealing with it. The initial leg up into the July highs was simple enough. This one right here. So here's July highs, was simple enough. But after it began to chop around, eventually double topping in late July. So DTSS is double top short sale. Yeah, double top short sale trigger in mid-July. So that was a short sale trigger. I don't know if he held. He doesn't mention that, I don't think. The initial leg up in July high was simple enough, but after it began to chop around, eventually double topping in late July before undercutting the 50 DMA, which is one of these. Oh, I think this blue one. Yeah, this is 50, undercutting the 50 DMA and rallying higher in a three-step moving average undercut and rally move. It eventually topped on September 1st, 2000, right there. Exactly 4 months from the day. So he doesn't mention the result of Bill's trade, which would be interesting to see. But he goes on to show all the technical actions of something that even William O'Neill wouldn't let his portfolio managers trade in, but he tried to trade it. But so I noted it had two primary smooth trending up legs. So this one and then this one. Sandwich in between those two legs was a wildly volatile base that saw higher highs and a double top short sale trigger in mid-July, followed by lower lows at the end of July, which is these ones. The point of the post is that we may be fast approaching a reaction point in the current market itself, so short sellers should be aware of this, certainly to any real-time evidence that it's occurring, and B, such a reaction rally could offer some interesting long side trading opportunities for nimble traders. So this guy's a very nimble trader. This guy's a very nimble trader. This Gil Morales he's one of like the guys. He's one of the guys. I don't know if he's got his books, but he's written a couple of books about William O'Neill. I don't follow all of his advice. I think he's got a little bit of too of a short term of a bias for me in bull markets, but this time around, I think it's doing pretty good. But it is a good service. So because this is public, I'll plug it. I don't want to take credit for his work. William Gil Morales is a great trader. So I'm gonna plug his stuff more than I plug my stuff. But I wanted to show you guys this. I do think it's important. So if other people see this, this is a service considering. I think he charges the same as I do, 65 a month. So it's a pretty good service. It's not really akin to mine. This is actually my comment right there. Thanks for the write up. I'm pretty seasoned trader, but I needed this perspective as I really wasn't around back then. Stockcharts.com is what he used to post these charts. So, but I thought this was really interesting and really great of Gil to point out. So one thing he says early on here, he talks about he's correlating it to the 2000 Hold on a second. I'm going to speed read this. My thinking is that we could see a short-term low here with an overall bear market environment as fear builds and breadth evaporates. There's several contextual considerations, sentiment being one of them. If we have not seen a near-term spike in fear, then look back at April 2024 low potentially coming into play. So different fractals, right? He's looking at fractals. But he talks about those reaction lows. So don't just be blindly holding shorts, which Steve is not doing, which is wise. This is what I think he really wanted to point out. And then, look, you see rejection at these moving averages. He does a lot with these moving averages. Those are short sale entry points. So, but Gil's great. I wanted to point that out for you guys, but it is public. I don't want to get in trouble with Gil. He's great, you know, but I did want to point that out for you guys. So, but yeah, I mean, you look at the market, you look just across the board. You look across the board here, and it's just NVIDIA head and shoulders on the table. I mean, this is a neckline, right? If we bounce right here, boom, this is neckline. Neckline, you're bouncing into weak environment if nothing changes. Palantir giving up its lows, creating another base here. I mean, what else? You got Reddit, which is dead. You got gold, which even took a little bit of a leg lower. One thing to point out for this marking a market bottom is look at the volume in GLD, or I'm sorry, QQQ. Huge volume in QQQ. Massive volume. Could get a snapback, but again, you start snapping back into these moving averages, and it could be shortable. I don't have all the moving averages up here. 10, 21, 50. I guess I do. Oh, there they are. Duh. They're right on top of price. I just can't see my own screen. So there's the 10, there's the 21, there's the 50 coming down in purple, 200 right there. So bouncing up into these really strongly, that would be shortable, in my opinion. Especially if nothing changes. Guys, if nothing changes, where are they going to put money? They're not going to put it to work. It's going to be tough, guys. It's going to be tough. You're going to have to be nimble. Steve, if you're not in the Slack chat room, I think you should join and let us know what you're doing. I think it'd be great. Obviously, you were spot on with your trades here, and I think your read is right. It matches Gil's, so good to have another trader in the Slack chat if you're interested. I'll post a link to that if anyone else wants to join the Slack chat room if you haven't already. There you go. That's an invitation into Slack. we do have a stocks chat room. It's not super active, but given with what's going on here, I think it's important to have it. I mean, guys, these 3 times ETFs, FNGU. I mean, just pick one. Pick a 3 times ETF. 165%. Not as good as a Soxel. So the other thing too is looking at Soxel components. I don't think this is done enough. I have pulled this up several times though. I'm gonna get going here in a little bit, y'all. So Broadcom, Nvidia. Shoot, what's Broadcom? I always forget it. AVGO. So Broadcom, biggest component to Soxel, right? That's going to be important. There's going to be other ones. AMD's been absolutely destroyed. Qualcomm, Texas Instruments, Marvell. So I think there's ways to play with this. But I mean, overall, I think once all the selling is done, you get these moves in Soxel that are just absolutely, absolutely monstrous. Look at that one, 1,700%. It's just so much money. 300% there. This is a bit of a longer term, but 1,200% there. I mean, even if you bought some of these generational lows in Soxel and just held it, what if you are the luckiest person on earth, bought it at 50 cents? You got 15,000% over 10 years. 12,000% over 10 years. Pretty good. And then you're adding on top of that, blah blah blah. Good stuff here, guys. I think I'm gonna go. Ugh. I gotta go do house stuff. I gotta go house stuff. Steve, good stuff there, my friend. Very good. 80K last week. I wish I was in that ballpark, but I'm not. I'm doing an edition right now, and I got guys working over there. And this year I've dedicated to the edition, so I've kind of put, big money trading on hold, which kind of sucks. Although maybe if I traded more, I would just hire people to manage the whole fucking thing for me and call it a day. Maybe. I don't know. But I got enough money to finish the project, so that's good. I'm all cash right now, so I really don't. It's not affecting me. In case anyone's wondering what my positions are, I'm pretty much all cash. I held one futures contract short over the weekend, and I bought uh like a couple of VIX contracts, anticipating a gap down, and then maybe we'll get the reversal after the gap down. But I just think Trump's so stubborn. I don't think anything's going to change. I agree. Steve mentioned something about, which I wanted to have a closer look at, something about short covering. We're so heavily shorted, we'll squeeze on any pop. Yeah, so I think we could have a reaction down, which could, bring in those moves, and then we'll get that huge reaction. Um, I mean, you could end up in a situation where, well, what are some of these percentages here? Let's go back to the daily. I mean, you get a big move into the 20-day, about a 5 or 6% index move right there. Even if you do that on the TQs, that's going to be 20, 30% if you just trade that and you don't want the volatility of options. So there's a couple different ways to play this. Um, I'm just, I'd love to explore opportunities. I'm just not in the right frame of mind these days. But yeah, that's it. That's it. Could be in for a bounce. If you go back to what Gil had over here, it was only like a 3-day bounce right there. Boom, 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 and then right back down again. So I think you have to watch for those lighter volume on the way up there. But this one closed way higher in the session. So all right, guys, it's gonna be interesting. I'll say that it's gonna be interesting. I'll try to keep Slack open if I'm available. I know Monday I gotta meet my framer guy there at 7 in the morning. Although I may cancel Monday with him. We'll see. All right, guys, have a good day. Thanks for joining me. Check out Gil's website if you're interested in that. And you guys have a great one. See you next time. Bye. Oh yeah, don't forget to join the Power Hour. I'm horrible.